I would say that the people that, even if they kind of push back a little bit on any of the process, but then they end up doing it, those are the ones we see success with. It really is the people that take that action and realize that this is not just about the money today. It's about building real wealth and not struggling and not using money as an excuse anymore.
Welcome to the Mastering Real Estate podcast. This podcast is for real estate investors and professionals looking to take their real estate game to the next level. Each week, I review the industry's leading real estate books and break down the main lessons that you can apply to your life and business. Then, every other week, I review my own personal lessons learned from flipping over 100 houses and being a full-time real estate investor since 2018. Stay tuned each week so that we can all become masters of real estate together. Welcome back to the Mastering Real Estate podcast. This is episode 19, and today we have a special episode where we sit down with David Richter, the author of Profit First for Real Estate Investing. In episode 15, Aziz Shanara and I reviewed David Richter's book and discussed how it has transformed our business. Today, I am so grateful to speak to the man behind this amazing book and dive deeper into some of the Profit First concepts and what David is working on today. I'm your host, Maura McGraw. I've been a full-time real estate investor since 2018. I've managed over 100 flips, founded and grown a real estate investment firm, and I live and work in the real estate industry every day. Just a quick reminder, we have an awesome YouTube channel where you can watch the video versions of this podcast. Just search for the Mastering Real Estate Podcast or Duratus Properties and you'll find us on YouTube. As you'll hear, we are doing a book giveaway this week. We will select a winner from everyone who leaves a comment in the video version of this podcast on YouTube. So go drop us a comment and you could win a signed copy of David's book. Okay, let's learn a little bit about David Richter. David is a seasoned real estate investor, author, and financial advisor dedicated to revolutionizing the real estate investing industry. He began his journey at Hyles-Anderson College before delving into the realm of real estate. With a background as the chief operating officer at RVA Property Solutions, Richter gained valuable experience in the operational aspects of real estate ventures. Richter's expertise culminated in the publication of his book, Profit First for Real Estate Investing, which is a comprehensive guide that applies sound financial principles to the unique challenges of real estate investment. Drawing from his extensive experience, Richter has completed over 850 deals, showcasing proficiency in various strategies such as wholesaling, turnkey rentals, BRRRRs, owner financing, regular rentals, and lease options, among others. Motivated by his own journey of scaling a real estate business, Richter recognized the crucial need for financial management within the industry. This realization led him to found Simple CFO Solutions, LLC, his company, which is dedicated to providing profit advising services to real estate investors nationwide. Through Simple CFO Solutions, Richter and his team offer fractional CFO services, enabling investors to access high-level financial expertise at a fraction of the cost. Richter's mission extends beyond financial advisory services. His ultimate goal is to transform how real estate investors perceive and manage their finances. By bringing true financial clarity and freedom to investors, he aims to elevate the industry's standards and empower individuals to achieve sustainable success in real estate investing. If you want to learn more about his book, make sure that you check out episode 15, where we do a comprehensive review of Profit First for Real Estate Investing. Now, let's talk to David. David, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. I would love to learn a little bit about your background, where you grew up, where you went to school, and what led you to the world of real estate investing and financial management.
Well, thanks for having me, first of all, and thank you for being a fan and for reading the book and implementing. That means a lot to me. Just right out of the gate, I want to say thank you for having me, but then also for being someone who takes action. Now, my background, I grew up outside of Chicago, so Northwest Indiana. That was my stomping ground for the first 27 years of my life. I actually went to a big church up there that had its own school and college and everything. So I was deeply ingrained up there into that. So I went to like a private Christian college.
Cool.
But one of my good friends in college gave me the book Rich Dad Poor Dad. And it was like, game over. I'm never going to be the person who like goes to work, gets a good job, works for 40 years, and then boom, that's it. And I love my parents to death. My dad worked in downtown Chicago at a high-rise apartment building, managing 1,000 units up there for 24 years of his life. But then he also got into wholesale and fix and flip, like after 24 years he was there, someone else bought the building out and like let all management go. And that took him to the smaller world of, the fix and flip and the rental real estate and all that. So I got a taste of it there too. But yeah, the book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, is what took me on the path. And I said, I have to get a house. So I got my first house on 12-12-12. I bought that house, rented it out. I lived in it then for 2 years. It was the first house I lived with my wife. Then after that, we moved out of it and put a lease option tenant in there, and he paid early and then cashed me out. And since I had lived there for 2 years, it was all tax free. And I'm like, this is great. I want to do more real estate. So that's what kept me in the real estate game. I started working with a real estate company up there too that was doing about 5 deals a month on like the fix and flip side and wholesale side. So it was already a decent sized company. And that grew to about 25 deals a month. And that's what really helped me cut my chops in the real estate world. Was a part of 800 deals while I was there. Saw a lot different exit strategies. But I'll stop there for now if you want to ask any questions, because there's more to the story after that. But that's at least the foundation of how I got into real estate and then, kept me in the game.
That's amazing. So like probably having the seed planted from your father and then getting into it right, like learning about it and starting to get into it right in and out of college. That's amazing. I feel like that's what all of us look back on. We're like, oh, if only I could have started earlier, and you did. So that's amazing.
Yeah. Well, I have great people in my life and a great friend who pointed me to a great book. So it's like, I've had a lot of good people around me pointing me in the right direction. That's why I'm like today, I have no excuse not to help people and not to get the message out that I'm getting out there now.
So cool. Well, how did you initially learn about Profit First?
So here's the rest of the story. So we were doing lots of deals up at that company, 25 deals a month, so about 300 deals a year. But I tell people we were doing 25 deals a month, but spending 26 worth out the door of deals. So it's like you make $1 million, you spend 1.1. And I was in a lot of different seats there. And the last seat I sat in was the financial seat. Was actually like, as a fractional CFO, I didn't know what to call it back then or what the heck was going on, but I learned the numbers. I totally look like the numbers guy. I've got glasses, used to wear braces, that type of thing. I'm used to, do all that stuff. And that's where I was in that seat as a finance person, but I had no idea what I was doing. So I had to literally ask the CPA, like, what is this? What's P&L? What does the N stand for in P&L? And he's like, it's an and. It's profit and loss. I was like, oh, okay. So like, teach me how to do that. Thankfully, I was a sponge and just soaked it all up. I learned how to read the numbers for a profit and loss, a balance sheet, a cash flow statement through that CPA. And that showed me where we were financially in that business. I'm like, oh my gosh, we're spending more than we're making. This is not good or sustainable. No wonder why everyone's burning out here. And that's where from there gave a plan to the owner, and the owner was kind of like, I don't want to sell my rentals. I don't want to sell a lot of the stuff that I have. And so a lot of people parted ways at that company. And he kind of went back to a few people on the team. And honestly, he got a lot healthier with just his business and stuff. So it was great for him. I moved across the country because I had a few of my own properties and such, that I had accumulated from that company and learning, and sold everything, moved to Virginia. That was close to where my wife grew up. So I moved from my hometown to nearer to hers. And I moved to the Richmond, Virginia area, started working with a guy there. And since I had learned the financial end, my first question to him was like, show me your numbers. Like, nothing else matters. Like, I need to see your numbers. You could tell me anything about your business, but unless I see the numbers and see where you really are, that's the real story. Brilliant. So he opened up the books. It was a mess, just like most people in the as entrepreneurs, not just real estate investors, but opened up the books. They were a mess. So like helped him clean that up. And literally after 3 months of that and getting everything in place, he said, this has been life-changing just because now I know what's coming in, what's going out, and what am I keeping? Where is my money? And to me, once he said that, like just that process was life-changing. I'm like, boom, there's the light bulb to start my own company, to just give people clarity. And I didn't even have profit first at that point. But I knew I wanted to help people because I knew how important it was. If you're going to go out there and bust your butt to get the deals in the door and make the money, you might as well know where it's going and be able to give yourself a chance to keep it. I had a mentor, though, that I called and said, I'm thinking about starting this type of company to give people clarity and like do this. And he said, have you read Profit First? And I said, no, what's that? Downloaded the book that night and read the whole thing in one sitting and was like, okay, took 10 pages of notes and said, this is one of the frameworks I want to implement in what we do at our company, at Simple CFO. So that's how I got introduced to the book. And then from there, the first, year, I was just implementing Profit First and seeing it work, like seeing people's actual results. That's when I went to Mike Michalowicz, the original Profit First author, about a year into it, and said, hey, I've got a real estate background. It's a lot different, then I think I can make my own book in the real estate world. And he signed off on that. And that's how I got the Profit First for Real Estate Investing deal done too.
Oh my gosh, you have to tell me more about that. The book writing process. I know that it's not just writing the book. It's, of course, writing the book, marketing the book. What was that whole process like?
That was a lift. The writing was the easiest part, honestly, especially since I had a template. Like I knew Profit First and had been implementing it, and I knew real estate. And I'm like, I'm going to marry these together. The word vomit, like just getting it all out there. I think I got about like 60 or 70,000 words out there in like 3 months.
Wow.
But then from there, the long process was editing. And there's different types of editors. There's like content editing of what you actually put in the book and where it goes and the sequence and like, is this story good? Is it not? There's also, the actual grammar, like editors. So like going in there and seeing, am I grammatically correct in these places? There's also, there's another type of editor too. So like the actual formatting of the book. But thankfully, Mike, once I did that deal with him, his writing partner, AJ Harper, had like a course, and she had like some one-on-one coaching, and she's a part of the book world. And that's where I got one-on-one help there, and kind of like in a group course setting as well too. That helped me because the book world is totally different than real estate, and it's totally different than anything I'd ever done before. Right. So it was great to have a mentor on that side who knew what the heck she was doing, because she actually wrote Profit First with Mike, the original one. So she also knew Profit First and the mindset behind it and everything. So that was super helpful. So there was lots of investments. There was lots of, 6 figures went into the book of getting it written, edited, the actual learning and mentorship, and then the marketing. Like you said, marketing took like 6 to 9 months to get it out the door too. Like had to do a launch, had to get everyone lined up from it. Like invested in some masterminds that connected me to other people, so that way we could get it out together and that type of thing. And yeah, there was a lot that went into it. And the marketing was just, another piece. And it was one of the big pieces on the back end. And then it's the marketing afterwards too. And then how do you follow up? And then recording the audio book. So it's not just out there on ebook and print book, but then doing the audio as well, because most of us as entrepreneurs love to listen to the stuff on the go or the podcast or in the car or whatever. So I wanted to do the audio book. So I did that about 3 months after it was published. So yeah, it's a long process, but it was very well worth it because of people like you and people like that we've helped, just that they needed a framework in that system for the real estate world.
Oh, totally. Well, this is what impresses me so much about your background, because you've done so many different things. I wonder, is there anything that stands out to you looking back on just the book process?
Yeah.
Maybe of important lessons you learned, or like the major challenges you faced? Because I know that business seems so much different than real estate and finance. We're going to get to real estate and finance, but I'm fascinated that you've successfully made that jump between these two worlds.
Oh yeah. Well, I would say number one lesson is get someone that's way smarter than you in that world. It's the same thing in real estate. Like you can knock down years of learning by getting handheld by someone who's been down that road and someone who's trustworthy. And the person I was working with, 100% trustworthy, like was a friend of Mike's, like very vetted well, and then went through the stuff. And I'm, in the process of potentially a second book. And I'm like, I'm taking all of her stuff back, of like all the outlines and stuff, because you get lifetime access to it. I'm like, this is great. This is great. Just a great framework. And that's what's great about that is, as I was going through this process and learning and building a business at the same time, just how important frameworks are. Of there's a structure, there's a process, someone else has probably been down this road, what is their framework and how do they think about this? I also liked her framework was, she called it top 3. Like, I want to write a book that someone would say this is the top 3 books that I've ever read, whether it be business or whatever it might be, and it's like, this is one of the top 3. So I liked her methodology, because she's like reader first, which I loved, because it's like profit first for a business, and then it was like reader first for the book process, and just thinking about what's really going to help the person. Because I think that was another interesting thing that I got from her, is that reading is very personal. Even though you can sell it to thousands and millions of people, there's another person on the end of that reading your book. Like, I've given books away, or I've done stuff like that before. I've like handed to someone, or I've seen someone come to an event with their book and they were like, I just got done reading it on the airplane, on the way over here. And I'm like, they just spent a few hours with me, like the one-on-one. And that was so eye-opening when she told me that, because I'm like, that makes so much sense, of course, but I had never put it in that mindset before. But that's where, number 1, get a mentor. Number 2 is really think about who you're trying to affect on the other end. And that doesn't just go for books. It goes for anything, any type of business. But that made it very personal to me, of like, why do I have to put the stories in there? Why do I have to spend so much money on getting this out the door? It's like, well, this has to be the best, most cohesive and understandable, book to get out there to help people.
Well, let me just tell you that you achieved a goal. At least I'm sure many other people have told you this, but as you probably heard it in my other podcast review of your book, it is in my personal top 3 most transformative books for my business, at least. So yeah. At least you achieved that goal, which is awesome. I'm sure that's so true for hundreds of people.
I appreciate that. Yeah. I get feedback like that a lot. And I also had some good people walking through with, on the personal side of life during that. If you've read my book, which you have multiple times, you know that in the first chapter, I talk about my wife and I's struggles with money together. And it's like someone who was an accountability partner of mine, who's still mine today and a good friend, Dan Bro, he said, you should talk about this stuff in the book, like that you've gone through together. I think people will really resonate with that. And a lot of people struggle with that. And it's like, okay, and back then I was, just so many things. I mean, how deep do you want to get on this podcast? Like, growing up, I'm a people pleaser. I want to just make everything good for everyone else, not really looking out for myself. And then I get older and I care more about what other people think than what I really want. And it's like, I don't think they really care about these type of stories, struggled with self-worth things. Like, I had AJ say sometimes, like, you need to put more of you inside of here, of like what your struggles were and like that type of stuff, because she could pull it out of me too. So I had some really good people that put me on a really good path. If you want to get deep into your own personal development, try and write a book and get stuff out of your brain and into the written word. So a lot of good people pour into me. Like I said, that's been the theme of my life, though, is a lot of good people pouring into me.
That's amazing. On your first book, to have it be such a success is really, really incredible.
Oh, it's not my first book. You want to know my first book? You could go online, and I forgot if we pulled it down or not, but it was like a 56-page thing, like that. It was just my first thing trying to get something out there as like self-published on Kindle or whatever. It was called Less Stress, More Profit. So if you want my really rough writing, where I think I got 2 reviews on that one, and one of them was like a 2 star.
Okay, thank God. Thank God. He is human.
Very human.
Human. Like, he's not just like stepping up to the plate and hitting home runs. I'm
no.
Wow, like
I am very human. Just pull back the layers here. You can ask me any question. I'll be very real with you. Like, no, that was not my first book. My first one was 56 pages, and yes, not the best thing I've ever put out there, but I think that's another thing too. You gotta shoot your shot. Like, in order to help people, you're going to have rough first drafts or rough first books. And it's like, all the authors out there that you respect have probably gone through that at some point, whether their first book was a home run and then the follow-up books are like, what is this? Or vice versa. So yeah, I'm definitely human.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, thank God. That gives the rest of us hope for our
Yeah.
lives.
Yeah.
So,
There you go.
okay, switching gears a little bit.
Yeah.
Now, you've worked with so many real estate investors through Simple CFO Solutions, through your book.
Yeah.
Are there any common traits that you've noticed among your successful clients or people that you've worked with?
Oh man. I think it goes back to just characteristics of human beings. If you're coachable, like you're going to be able to take whatever we give you and run with it. Like if you are able to be coachable and you take action, those are the two characteristics, and I think those are the things that I see. I would say too that the people that, even if they kind of push back a little bit on any of the process or whatnot, but then they end up doing it, those are the ones we see success with. It really is the people that take that action and realize that this is not just about the money today. It's about building real wealth and not struggling and not using money as an excuse anymore for a lot of their stuff that's, they use it for, whether it be home life, the business, or not being able to hire the person, or like, I think those are some of the things that I see that if they're the most successful, they were willing to get over themselves, not have ego, be a part of the picture, and really just say, yeah, I don't like money and I don't like numbers and all that, but we're still going to go through this process no matter how painful it'll be, and we'll come out on the other side, better. So those are a few of the things.
Cool. Can you tell us a little bit about Simple CFO Solutions and
Yeah.
what are some of the things that you help people with now? So this is, I mean, and this is your main thing, right?
Yeah.
Simple CFO Solutions. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
That's been a journey too. When I first started, I had no idea what I was starting. I didn't even know what the term fractional CFO was back then. But what it is, it's a part-time chief financial officer company. So we put part-time chief financial officers on small teams, and that's where it's morphed into that. When I first started, it was just me, but now we've got about 30 CFOs on the team working with about 130 real estate investors and other business owners too. We've expanded outside of real estate because lots of people struggle with making money and feeling broke. So that's who we really try to help. And that's morphed into, we have a very specific process we do with people. We call it laying the financial foundation. Number one, we make sure you have the right bookkeeping system process in person. So you have clean numbers, you know what the heck's going on, you have clarity. We implement profit first as the second part, making sure that you know where your cash is going, because that's really what you care about, and like what the numbers are in your pocket at the end of the day. Third thing we do is a dashboard. If you're smaller than $1 million, we've got one that's like a stoplight report. It's real easy. It's just like, here's the forward facing numbers that you need to be looking at. And here's the things that you like, the red, or, is it red, yellow, or green? That type of stuff. And also doing some minor forecasting for you of where you are. Then if you're bigger than $1 million, we've got this whole suite of dashboards that would connect to QuickBooks Online. And it's really cool behind the scenes. And it really helps you see, where do I want to be? I want to be at X. How many years does it take to get there? And what's the plan? What I like to tell people to get it, put it on the bottom shelf. It's like rear view mirror versus GPS. CPAs and bookkeepers are there just to input numbers and to tell you how much you owe, or, to the IRS or that type of thing, or to try and save you money on taxes if you've got a tax strategist. CFO comes in and says, okay, where do you want to go? Well, here's the GPS I'm going to install on your dashboard. So the dashboard tells you where you are, but then the GPS is going to tell you, okay, what's the quickest route to get to where we want to go? So it's like taking all the rear facing data and saying, here's where we are. And we've morphed into now, like, I really have a heart for the people at $1 million and under, because a lot of fractional CFOs don't serve them well. Like, if a lot of people in the fractional CFO space like to serve the higher market, because they make more, and it's like they can charge more, like 3, 4, 5 grand a month, if you're above $1 million. But if you're below $1 million, I'm like, who's helping you? Because you're on your journey now, but if anything, you need good habits the earlier you are in your business, so you don't scale into a couple million and you've got bad habits and you don't have any money. Yeah. We've seen so many people like that. And it's like, I want to catch you way before that. So that's why we built different tiers for people, as small as just, their first 6 figures. And we're just trying to say, here's the foundation that you need. And here's the access you have to your CFO. Because no matter what level you have, you still get access to a one-on-one person. This is not group coaching type thing. This is more of like, where are you going in your business? But that's morphed over the years. I had no idea it would take off like it did. but so many people have had bad financial experiences, like with bookkeepers, CPAs. And let's be honest, most entrepreneurs that are the A-type drivers that start a business don't love the financial side
Yes.
because it's not the money revenue producing thing. It's more of the, what do I get to keep, and like how am I most efficient with my money? But a lot of people just don't think of it putting money in their pocket, which is funny. But that's where we're just trying to make it very simple and a process and like a system so they can follow it. If you're going to have a system to bring leads in, you need a system to catch the dollars too. So that's really what Simple CFO is all about. Thanks for letting me go on my diatribe there. It's just a lot of people are struggling in that area.
Yes, they so are. I definitely was in that boat. And I'm interested, after working with so many people, are there any common bad habits that you've noticed or common mistakes that people are making?
Let's put it this way. These are the roadblocks I see that people come to us with. Number one, they're ashamed of where they are financially. They 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 haven't really opened up till this point of how they feel about money with anyone. And that's real. That's like the real deep stuff that they don't want to talk about at masterminds or meetups and that type of thing. And that's what I love about, like, okay, this is a safe place now to talk about it. That's what I wanted the book to be. Like, I know what's going through your head. Let's just have this conversation. And lots of other people are feeling like that too. So I would say that's number one big roadblock. Number two is they think the knowledge gap is much wider to where they can actually keep more in their pocket than it really is. Like, they think they have to be CPA level, or they got to even be bookkeeper level. Like, they've got to know the finances from that level. And you don't. That's why I loved Profit First. As an entrepreneur, like, it spoke to me and the simplicity of it. So it's like everyone thinks that knowledge gap is so big, so they never take a chance. They never go out there and say, okay, how do I really learn this stuff? And they just bury their head in the sand. So I would say that's number three. And then another thing that most people do, and a bad habit, is they abdicate all responsibility to bookkeepers and CPAs. They just say, here's my shoebox full of receipts. Tell me what it is, and I'm just going to keep moving and doing deals. So it's like most people just think that by hiring just someone, that they're going to just have their numbers taken care of. And that's usually not the case, especially in the real estate world, because it can get so complicated on the backside where, of like the actual numbers and inside of the systems and whatnot. So you've got to really know that they're doing it right, so you don't have to go back later and have thousands of dollars worth of cleanup in there. And then really partnering with the people that are going to help you get to where you want to be. Because the bookkeepers and CPAs, while you need them, they're just there to record what's happened and tell you what's happened, and versus where do we want to go. So those are some of the big roadblocks and the bad habits. As a bonus one here, most people just have bad habits with money. They've never taken a personal finance course. If they have, they don't know how to translate that skill to the business side. So it's like, that's where some people just have bad habits around money in general. They've never been taught, or they were like, money doesn't grow on trees. Like, they've got stuff from their, past just poured into them. So that was money mindset type thing. So there you go. There's some of the things that I see most common with
Exactly. Oh, I mean, I relate to so much of that. I know so many other people do. If someone has a small business and they are struggling with financial management, what would you say is like the first step they should take?
Ooh, I would say read the book. Like, it doesn't, and if you're not in real estate, you don't have to read mine. Read a version of Profit First. If they've got it for a whole bunch of different industries. But if you're in real estate, you can read my book to get a much clearer picture, because what I loved about reading the original one and why it spoke to me is that I don't have this big background in finance and accounting. Like, and it spoke to me of like, I can manage this. Profit First is built on the envelope method. Like, Dave Ramsey's made that super popular in the personal finance space. And like, that's been a popular thing for a long time, like maybe passed down through the generations. It's built on what you're already doing as an entrepreneur. That's what I loved about it. You didn't have to learn how to read a profit and loss. You didn't have to learn how to read a balance sheet to just set up some bank accounts and name your money, like the being intentional with every dollar. So I would say read the book, like get the first steps in place, like set up Profit First in your business. It can give you clarity around cash. And that's at the end of the day, what you really care about. Where's my money going? And why am I not keeping more of it? Or how can I keep more of it?
Absolutely. And one thing that I'll say it's helped my team, it just helps you all have a common framework and just get on the same page. I mean, because I have a business partner a lot of people do, even if you don't have a business partner, you at least have a team, and you have to figure out a system or a framework, like you said, to manage your cash and run the rest of your business. But at least having a common framework is so helpful for everyone to be on the same page and start making more money.
Yeah, 100%. Like I said, it's all about those frameworks. You need them for everything, including your money, so you don't lose out on what you're already making.
Absolutely. If you reflect back on your career, what's one lesson that you've learned that you think everyone should learn in life at some point? I know it's a big
Oh man, that's a big one because there's so many, right? As you grow as an adult, there's just so many things. I'll take the road. I've been going down. I'm a Brene Brown fan now. Someone introduced me to her books like a year ago, and now I've read like 6 out of the 7 that she's got out there. And I think just the more we work on ourselves, really, that's how you grow as a business owner. You put yourself into those situations where if you want to grow as a person, become a business owner, become a a husband or wife, become a parent, become, like these different roles that we take on are really just how much do we want to grow and the responsibility we want to take on. And then finding good people in your life to help you on those journeys, whether it be through books or whether it be through mentorship. Man, there are so many lessons, but being willing to constantly work on yourself and also work on yourself from other people's perspectives. Meaning, like if you are a spouse, what do you need to work on that will help them too? Like that will help you become that better spouse for them and be able to be that better person. I've had some major breakthroughs with that over the years. And it's like, why didn't I think of some of this stuff before? And it's like just being able to work on yourself from a lot of different aspects, because honestly, at the end of the day, even if you want to build a big business, if you've got those other relationships in your life, you care more about those than your business usually. At the end of the day, it's going to be your family that's going to go to your funeral and not, you're the business people. It's usually going to be the ones that are that close to you. So I just keeping that in perspective. And the younger you are, the more important it is, I believe, too. Like, because if you are on that journey starting out, it's easy to forget about that. It's easy to just put your nose to the grindstone, but you really need to take the whole perspective of where am I today? Who do I really want to be? Is this business serving who I want to be? Have I built something that I hate and that I hate who I am when I'm in this business, type of thing. So there you go. Just constantly work on yourself. I could have just said it in those words, but there you go.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Well, in that same vein, do you have any favorite books or podcasts or resources at the moment that you would recommend to the audience? They can be about real estate and finance or not. I think, I mean, everybody has regardless of whether they're in real estate or not, most of my audience does happen to be in real estate, but all of the rest of us have lives and husbands and kids, and that's probably more, you're right. It's probably more important than
it is to me. It is to me. Like, I was going to say a word, but it's like, forget all that other stuff. Like if I can't be a good husband and father, like I don't care really, like take my business from me. Like I shouldn't have it then. So I think a lot of this, if you become a better business owner, you're really trying to get yourself out a lot of those roles. So that way you can focus on more areas of life too, and health and, all the stuff. It's not just, being the roles in your life. It's also taking care of yourself too. So, okay. You said books, right? I don't have to just name one. Can I name several?
Yes, your favorite resources can be books, podcasts, I don't know, YouTube channel, whatever your favorite.
I've got this ready for the people that ask me for multiple ones. And I'm going to give you the names of several books that I love that are also and what they're tied to, like in the business world or in your personal life. So I like Mike McCowart's book, Fix This Next, because it's all about what's broken in your business and what to focus on. So it's like, is it sales? Is it profit, order, impact, legacy? The Road Less Stupid, that book by Keith Cunningham, probably my favorite business book of all time. So that's more about how do I think as an entrepreneur and the questions I should be asking myself. There's no answers in that book. He gives you deep questions for any issue you're going through. Love that book. Great by Choice by Jim Collins. I like that one better than Good to Great because it's what great companies do to stay great and being great by choice. Psychology of Money. It's how we think about money, and it's that one's just so good. And it's so easy to read. You think Psychology of Money, it's going to be really $10 words or whatever, and it's not. Multipliers for leadership, Profit First for managing money and financial peace. The Ultimate Blueprint for Insanely Successful Businesses, also by Keith Cunningham. I love anything he puts out. Let's see. I'll just give you, okay, one of the best emotionally intelligent books if you want to also be a great leader. And I'm not knocking employees or leaders on your team when I tell you the title of this book. It's just great for a framework of talking with people, how to talk so kids will listen and listen so kids will talk. It's it's made for parenting, but
Great.
it's so helpful. It's so helpful because most people were never talked like that too growing up. Like, okay, what's really going on here? How can I be emotionally intelligent? How can I support you? Such a great book. It's a great book as a dad, but then it was a great book as being a leader as well too. Crucial Conversations, another great book about a framework for when a conversation turns emotional. How do I handle that as well? And then any of Brene Brown books, I love her stuff just because all of us deal with worthiness and shame and like the deep things of life that keep us from really being who we were born to be. And I feel like she just puts it in good language so you can identify, okay, what am I struggling with? So there's some of the ones, since you let me do multiple ones, I've got a whole list here. I even didn't mention some of them, but those are some of the ones that I love. If I had to just pick one of the business books out of that, I would say Road Less Stupid is great because it's like start there. The great questions to ask yourself, and then Brene Brown stuff as well too.
Awesome. I love that. And I haven't read most of those, so I'm going to add all of them to my list.
There's some, those ones have helped me immensely.
Awesome. Well, what are you into outside of work? I know you've talked a little bit. You're obviously a husband and a father, but when you're not working, you're not fixing people's finances. What are you into? What are you doing?
Even as we're talking right now, my little knee nipper's at my door, knocking on it. So I'm going to go give her a big hug right when we're done. But those are the big things right now when I'm not. I like to golf too, but I do that maybe once a quarter at this point with the business and everything going on. I like spending time with the family. I like, helping and pouring into people. That's a lot of what I'm doing right now is traveling a lot, getting this message out there as well. But yeah, it's spending a lot of time with family because you have to be very intentional. If you're running a business, then you got to make sure those key relationships in your life are healthy as well and taken care of. So those are the big things I'm focused on. She's young too. She's 7. So I'm like, this is the stage of life where she loves me to death. So I'm like, I don't need a bunch of personal hobbies. I just need to make sure she knows I love her. So when the tougher years come in a few years, like Dad's there and he's, I know he loves me. So it's like, that's a lot of the stuff going through my head right now. I read too, obviously. I love to read with that list of books there. Those are some of the things outside that I did Kung Fu for 2 years. I will say that's another personal development thing. You want to up your personal development game, take a martial art.
Yes.
That's physical and mental all wrapped into one. Like if you want more discipline, if you want more whatever it might be.
Humility.
It's humility. If you want to punch something and be punched, it's like this is just a great outlet for a lot of different things. As a martial art. So that's another thing too that probably a lot of people don't know.
Yes. So cool. What's next for you? What are you most excited about that you're working on right now and what's on the horizon?
Oh man. Well, we're continuing to grow as a company and pouring in. And like I said, we've really niched down to if you're working on getting to your first million, no matter how big or small you are, like we want to help you lay that financial foundation and give you the real stuff and manage those financial people for you. So that's where we've taken that and really honed in on that. So I'm excited about that because I think a lot of people aren't serving that community very well of entrepreneurs. Another thing, yes, I am working on a new book. I say potentially, but it's like I've outlined it, but I'm still going through like the main points. I think there's still a big need there of the financial foundation of what I was talking about and making that bottom shelf. It's almost like the Dave Ramsey of small business. We need the first baby steps. Like, what do you do? Like you asked me, what are the first things you could do? And so I'm working hard on that behind the scenes because I think that's something that if you could just get these first few steps, it would make a world of difference. Or if I could just open your eyes to these first few things, because I'm a very simple person. So I need stuff on the bottom shelf so I can put stuff there because I need to reach it there too. So those are some of the things that I'm working on inside the business. And, like I said, always stuff with family, going on a trip this next week. I'm excited about that stuff too, doing a trip next month with my in-laws and my parents going on an Alaskan cruise because they've never been on a cruise and I've never been to Alaska. And it's like, just trying to do fun stuff and while he's able to do it. So looking forward to that on the personal front too.
So cool. That sounds so, so cool. Well, tell us, how can people get a hold of you
Yeah.
or learn more about what you're doing?
Yeah. If you want my book, go to simplecfo.com/gift. And you can get the ebook, the audiobook. I think I give the Profit First cheat sheet there too. No one else is telling you this info out there. And even if you buy my book on Amazon to get the print version, that's great. If you want the other versions, I want to give them to you. But here's I know most entrepreneurs too, they want, just give me the bottom line. So that's why I did the cheat sheet. It's literally one page. The second page is a visual overview of Profit First. So that way you can just see the visual, view of it as well too. So if you go to simplecfo.com/gift, you can do that. Then it leads you to, if you want to schedule a call with our team, just schedule a call. It's not going to be high pressure. It's literally going to be, are we a good fit for where you are right now? Or do you need someone in our network that knows Profit First, that can handle you right out of the gate or whatever it might be? So I'm just trying to get you to the next stage so you don't have to be worried about the money anymore.
Could we do a book giveaway for the audience?
Yes, because I don't give the physical book away usually. So we can definitely do a book
I think
giveaway.
that would be so cool. I was thinking that we'll just have people go leave a comment on the video version of the podcast on YouTube, and then we'll pick a winner, and maybe they could get a signed copy of the book.
Exactly. I'll ship it to my house, sign the copy, and then send it out to them. I would love to do that as well too, to give a physical book away and then sign it and send it.
That would be so cool. Well, this has been an amazing interview. I am so thankful for you for taking the time to come on the podcast. I know you're so busy, so thank you so much, David. This was amazing, and I know that all the listeners will get so much out of this conversation.
Thanks for having me on. We're all busy too. It's not just me. So go out there and do something with this information. Keep more of what you're making.
Absolutely. Awesome. Thanks again to David for such a great interview. Now let's take a quick minute to thank our show sponsor, Duratus Academy. So after you get your real estate investing finances sorted using the Profit First system, you may want to overhaul your business in order to scale faster and more efficiently. That is where Duratus Academy can help you. In our online academy, you'll find lots of free resources for real estate investors, as well as our masterclass, which will walk you through step-by-step instructions on how to set up and scale your real estate investing business. Had I followed this roadmap when I started out, I would have saved a minimum of $50,000 and saved at least 3 years of time from how long it actually took me to get to where I am now. So don't miss out. Go check out DuratusAcademy.com and sign up for my masterclass. This concludes today's episode. Thanks so much for listening. Make sure that you leave us a comment on our YouTube channel so that you're entered into a drawing to win a copy of David's book. We will announce the winner on social media next week. Come back to learn about how we flipped 42 houses at once after purchasing a big single-family portfolio. It was crazy. You're not going to want to miss this story. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for listening. Make sure that you are subscribed to the podcast and leave us a rating and review. We are a new and growing podcast, so every rating, review, and share helps immensely. Also, make sure that you're following us on YouTube and social media. You'll get a lot more behind the scenes and content there daily. See you in the next one.